Hi guys, this is Mike, and this video here is about a stabbing in 2014 in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It was Calgary's worst mass murder ever in history, and it was done by a young man named Mathew De Grood. Now, Matthew's father was a Calgary police officer, and Mathew killed 5 people by stabbing them to death. Now, he was hearing voices telling him to kill. So, was Mathew De Grood being targeted by the government of Canada with voice to skull, just like they did Luca Rocco Magnata? Okay, so let me read here. This is for the 2014 Calgary stabbing. Okay. On April 15th, 2014, Mathew De Grood, son of Calgary police officer Doug De Grood, stabbed 5 young adults to death at a house party in the Brentwood neighborhood of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The party was several blocks away from the University of Calgary campus and held to mark the end of its school year. It was Calgary's deadliest massacre. The stabbing occurred at 1:20 a.m. at a house at 11 Butler Crescent, where about 30 people were present at a party. The assailant, an invited guest, committed the attack shortly after arriving at the party. He obtained a large knife at the house and stabbed the victims methodically. Each victim was stabbed multiple times. The suspected attacker fled on foot, but was arrested by police 40 minutes later with the aid of the K-9 unit. The victims were Joshua Hunter, Caitlin Perez, Jordan Segura, Lawrence Hong, and Zachariah Rathwell, who ranged from 21 to 27 years of age. Hunter lived in Pridus, Alberta, and the other 4 lived in Calgary. Hong, Segura, and Rathwell were pronounced dead at the scene, and Perez and Hunter died in the hospital. The perpetrator, Mathew De Grood, age 22, was identified as the suspect. He attended the University of Calgary and was planning on attending law school. Prior to the stabbings, he was an employee of Safeway. He is the son of a city police officer with the rank of inspector, so his father is obviously a Freemason. He was held at a secure psychiatric facility adjacent to the Calgary Remand Center. According to authorities, De Grood personally knew at least one person that was present during the party. According to his parents and classmates, his behavior had started to change in the weeks before the stabbings. He began to post more frequently on Facebook, submitting bizarre status updates. Hours before the killings, he posted the title of the Megadeth song, Dread in the Fugitive Mind. Mathew De Grood told psychiatrists a voice said, "Kill them before they get you." So he was hearing voices telling him to kill. We've heard that before, haven't we? It says disturbing content. Okay. 2 expert forensic psychiatrists testified Wednesday in the trial of Mathew De Grood. One said he was clearly psychotic when he stabbed and killed 5 people in Calgary's worst mass murder. The second agreed and diagnosed him with schizophrenia. Now, all targeted individuals are diagnosed with a mental disorder by crooked psychiatrists. Day 3 of the trial started with the Crown closing its case, and the defense calling Dr. Alberta Choi, an expert witness specializing in forensic psychiatry. Who knows who he is? Choi conducted a 2-hour interview with De Grood in September 2014. In the trial, he was called to give his opinion of if De Grood should be found not criminally responsible. NCR applies to those who are found to have committed an act that constitutes an offense, but cannot appreciate or understand what they did was wrong due to a mental disorder at the time. Court heard De Grood was initially sent to the Southern Alberta Forensic Psychiatry Center and put on antipsychotic medication following his arrest. He was then sent to hospital in Edmonton for assessment. Choi testified there was evidence De Grood was paranoid leading up to the attack and was suffering from psychosis when he stabbed and killed 5 people. adding he was clearly psychotic at the time of the killings. I wasn't able to come up with a specific diagnosis for Mr. De Grood, Choi said, except that he suffered from a mental disorder. Why couldn't he come up with a diagnosis? Probably because this guy's a targeted individual, and they were putting voices in his head from Canadian Forces Station Leitrim with microwave frequencies, V2K. Dr. Linka Zidkova, the forensic psychiatrist to testify Wednesday, spent about 14 hours with De Grood, interviewed his parents, and reviewed his medical records and history. She concluded he suffered from schizophrenia. De Grood said, "The voice of the sun god told him, 'Kill them all before they kill you.'" So this guy was hearing voices from somebody claiming to be the sun god and telling him to kill these people. He says, he intended to kill these individuals because he believed his life was in danger and they were about to kill him. In his testimony, Choi also suggested De Grood understood he was stabbing and killing the victims, but not that it was morally wrong. He felt he was in imminent danger, Choi said. Yeah, because he was hearing voices from the sun god. The sun god. So CFS Leitrim is pretending they're these crazy characters and putting voices in people's heads. And they're testing out their, what do you call it, their Manchurian candidate weaponry. They can get people to kill people now. They don't have to do anything. They just put voices in their head and say, hey, go kill him. And then a young guy like him, who's probably really young and naive, he's in university, watches too many movies. So, let's see. It says, Choi said De Grood told him he felt threatened by conversations with Rathwell and that he believed all of the victims were part of the other side against him. Mr. De Grood recounted that on April 14th, 2014, he went to work as usual but had known that the world was going to end that day, reads a document submitted by Choi. Okay, he purchased garlic to protect himself because the vampires and werewolves were on the side of the evil. See, this guy was watching too many of those Hollywood movies about vampires. Let's see. Actually, he also stated that he thought his father was on the side of evil. And his father's a cop, and he's obviously a Mason. He could be right there. Now, now listen to this. He said, Choi's report said De Grood told him his beliefs about werewolves came from the movie Twilight, and his beliefs about vampires came from the graphic novel Cirque du Freak. So yeah, he has a big imagination, and he's watching these movies and believing these fictional stories because he's young and naive. But listen to this. De Grood told Choi he heard a male voice who he thought was the devil, telling him to kill them before they get you. So this guy is another guy who was hearing voices, and those voices were telling him to kill. And we know Canadian Forces Station Leitrim does that with microwave frequencies, V2K. And this is also in Canada, just like Rocco Magnata. Now this one here, this is from the CBC News. It says right here, it says, Mathew De Grood clearly was psychotic when he stabbed 5, psychiatrist testifies. Lawrence Hong, Joshua Hunter, Caitlin Paris, Zachariah Rathwell, Jordan Segura, killed at house party. Okay, it says, Mathew De Grood clearly was psychotic and thought one of the 5 people he stabbed to death at a Calgary house party were a werewolf about to kill him because he watches too many Hollywood movies. Forensic psychiatrist testified at his murder trial Wednesday. Dr. Alberto Choi and Dr. Lenka Zedkova, colleagues at the Alberta Hospital in Edmonton, testified that they believe De Grood should be found not criminally responsible on the 5 counts of first-degree murder he is facing. He understood that he was stabbing and killing them, said Choi, who examined De Grood several months after the killings, but he wasn't able to establish that what he was doing was morally wrong. The 24-year-old admitted to stabbing Lawrence Hong, 27, Joshua Hunter, 23, Caitlin Paris, 23, Zachariah Rathwell, 21, and Jordan Segura, 22, at a house party in the Brentwood neighborhood in April 2014, but has pleaded not guilty. The goal of his lawyer is to have De Grood, once a promising university student heading to law school in the fall of 2014, deemed not criminally responsible. So this young kid was going to law school, so he wasn't stupid. His father was a cop, who he was obviously, if he's a cop, he's a Mason. Who knows what was going on there? Why would they target this Freemason cop's son? Maybe he pissed off, maybe he wasn't following orders or something. It's hard to say. That's just speculation. In preparing their independent reports, Choi and Zedkova poured through De Grood's text messages, interviewed his parents, and reviewed medical records from his arrest, in addition to interviewing the now 24-year-old. Zedkova, who spent a total of 14 hours with De Grood for her assessment, said on the night of the party, De Grood feared he would be killed. He didn't feel any other emotions, really, just fear. She testified that at the party, De Grood was speaking with Rathwell about Buddhism. Rathwell brought up the subject of death, put his hand on De Grood's shoulder. De Grood perceived it as a threat and told Zedkova he heard a demonic voice he believed to be the sun god saying, "Kill them all before they kill you." To him, it marked the beginning of the war. So this kid is hearing voices telling him to kill. And we keep seeing this over and over again with these people getting V2K'd and they're being told to kill people. And he's watching Hollywood movies and, getting into fantasy bullshit. And his father was a cop, probably a Mason. Now, here's a weird thing, which I totally thought was a coincidence. His lawyer's name is my name. My name is Michael Miller. And his lawyer, it says, De Grood's defense team of Michael Miller and Alan Fay speak to reporters outside of court on Wednesday. So this kid's lawyer was named Michael Miller, which is my name. That's a weird coincidence. I don't read anything into that, though. I think it's just coincidence. So yeah, it said he believed that his father was part of the evil side. So what did he know about his father? So anyway, so this guy, Mathew De Grood, he killed 5 people. These were innocent young people. And they were all university students, and they've lost their lives. And it's terrible. That's 5 people murdered. And I think it's all because of Canadian Forces Station Leitrim and their targeting program with V2K, microwave hearing. So, anyway, let's not forget the 5 victims, okay? And Canadian Forces Station Leitrim, that place needs to be shut down.